G'day and welcome to the Game Day Squad Oz Cricket Fantasy Show. I'm Dill, that's Stu, and that's Haz. Bros, Haz, nice of you to join us once again after your extended absence from the show. Obviously, Chrissy got the better of you. Thanks to everyone jumping in the live preview show as well. We're back again, and it's shaping up to be a season-defining round, I believe. I feel like there's something in the air, and it's time to get ourselves organised for this round 7. All attention's now turned to the Big Bash after really underwhelming fourth Ashes test wrapped up inside 2 days. I don't think I've ever seen that before, or if I have, it's been a long, long time since I did. Let's hope that the fifth and final Ashes test, we get a bit more action, a bit more cricket. Look, the upside of that Ashes, though, is that we can now focus solely on the Big Bash action ahead with more than 2 games in a round for the first time since round 3. So if you're in the chat and you've got any start-sit questions, there's obviously a lot going on. There's a lot of options this week with those 6 teams playing. Let us know in the comments and we'll try and get to them as much as possible. I know some people, sometimes we miss a few comments, but we'll do our very best. Look, before we jump into that, though, and we talk about the round 7 fixtures, Haz, welcome back. How did you go in round 6?
Oh.
Yeah, Haz.
Sorry, boys. I think a Wi-Fi. G'day. Sorry, everyone. I have just recently moved house and I have just connected the Wi-Fi today and it seems to be lagging on me big time. So I do apologize about that. But g'day, boys. And then once again, everyone tuning in. Thanks for the welcome back, Dill. It is good to be back on the live show. I apologize for my extended absence in the last 2 shows. As I said, I've been in the process of moving house and obviously that busy time of year with Christmas, and a mate decided to have a birthday on Saturday. Bad timing, of course. But however, I am back and hopefully I can make up with it with some insight that helps our coaches continue to succeed as we approach the halfway point of the season. In round 6, I didn't have another great week, unfortunately. Contender, which is pretty much my pod team at the moment. I came 66th for the round. Classic 38th and Challenger 29th, which once again is where I'm trying to focus pretty much all my attention. Just don't seem to have the depth of cards to be really challenging at the pointy end of that competition. But Stu, how'd you go, mate?
Yeah, g'day Dill, g'day Haz, and g'day everyone. Thanks for tuning in once again. Yeah, Haz, we missed you over those last couple of shows, but we still managed to talk for about an hour and 10 minutes, like always. We expected it to go a little bit quicker than usual, but somehow Dill and I still sat here and spoke for the normal hour plus. Yeah, look, round 6 results weren't too bad for me. 28th in Classic, 20th in Challenger, and 6th in Champion for the round. Still 5th overall in Challenger and 6th overall in Champion. It's where I want to be. Let's see if I'm there in a couple of months' time. How'd you go, Dill?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag for me as well in round 6. I finished Classic in 18th, Challenger 25th. As I keep saying, that's a bit of my pod team, so I sort of just play a few different players in there. I ended up just throwing in Jimmy Pearson just for a bit of fun, and obviously that didn't turn out quite so well. And then Champion, where most of my eggs are, I came 12th there. I'm still just outside that prize card territory in all the comps, but Champion's where I'm in striking distance, and I think I've run the numbers based on the prize card draft and the format of the prize card draft, where it is the first 5 across the Champion, Challenger, Classic and Contender competitions, and then if a coach wins or is within that top 5 across multiple competitions, they only get the 1 prize card. So based on that, I'm 12 points away in Champion from 5th spot in the prize card, or 5th place in Champion for a prize card. So, Stu, thankfully, because of your position in Challenger, you've actually got the prize card at the moment for Challenger, which means I'm 1 step closer to the prize card for Champion. So if you can keep pushing up that Challenger rank, that helps me a lot as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's good to see you boys are working in tandem there to have a bit of success in those weekly and season-long forms of Oz cricket. It takes a team to do it. However, only one of us has remained in the GDS Cup heading into week 3. Dill, we know you managed to just scrape through your round 2 matchup after an underwhelming score. How did you go in round 3, and did you survive?
Yeah, I did survive, thankfully, to the GDS Cup. I feel like I'm a bit of a GDS Cup specialist. My opponent, I believe he was axe thrower. In fact, he only scored a total of 69 points. So it ended up being quite an easy dub. And I think I saw earlier, Stu mentioned that it was a bit of a weaseling for me to make it through. But look, I'm up against Duffman now, and I've gone back and looked at a couple of Duffman scores, and he's put on some decent scores, a 600 2 weeks ago, and then just ticked over the 700 mark in the last round of the GDS Cup. So, look, I would have beaten him in both of the previous 2 rounds, but it really doesn't matter. It's who you come up against in this round, and it's all about the head-to-head. So, look, I'm going to keep a close eye on that classic leaderboard every morning over the next couple of days, and hopefully it updates with me once again having another win. And I believe, I might be mistaken, but I believe it could be a bit of an all-star as a prize for this round if we make it through. So I'd love another all-star card in my arsenal.
Yeah, gee, that would be pretty big. What's that little kiss symbol above Dill's name? Has any ideas?
I have no idea.
Yeah, turn it up.
All
Turn it
right.
up, boys.
All righty. Hey, guys, coming to you each and every start of the round is the live round previews where Dill has an eye. We'll let you know who our favourite picks are in the keeper, batsman, the all-rounder, and the bowler position. We'll share our consensus team of the round to let you know who we're rolling out in our squads. And, of course, Bro Down Showdown will occur each and every show where you, the viewers, can win some pretty awesome prizes. We've already given away an all-star, I believe, or 2, and some pretty handy golds and platinums. All you got to do is comment on the videos later on, the Bro Down Showdown, which bro you think is going to win. And the Bro Down Showdown is heating up. I'm back on the board, boys, and I've got a couple under my belt in a row. Now, new users, still not too late to join. You can get involved with Game Day Squad, and you can compete against the Fantasy Bros and see if you can beat us on those weekly leaderboards. All you need to do is sign up using the promo code SUMMER. That's SUMMER in all capital letters during the sign-up process. Not only will you get a heap of bronze cards for your starter competition, but you'll get three-player common packs, and you'll start getting some silvers and golds that you can roll out in your contender and classic squads. No better way to spend some of the time over the holiday period. Hopefully, we're not going back to work too soon, all of us. So no better way to get involved in Game Day Squad right now using that promo code SUMMER. Rightio, Dill, a lot to get through before that first ball of round 7 is bowled in about an hour's time. Shall we get into the match previews?
Yeah, definitely. Look, firstly, before I do that, let's welcome a few people in. We've got Michael Cozzy in, Cozzy's Posse, and he says, hey, bros, I came second in starter. I'm still a bit confused how I did it. I have to try and do it in the contender or in the classic competition. Look, Cozzy, I think it's pretty simple. You sit here each and every week, you watch us, you listen to our tips, and as a result, you came second in starter. Well done, mate. Congratulations for that. Mel, as always, she's commented and said that moving at Christmas sounds horrible. My thoughts are with Haz. Yeah, mate. Hopefully it all works out for you.
It was pretty bad timing.
And then also we got Mian, as always. Missed the last preview, but good to be back again and bounce back after 2 poor rounds and knocked out of the cup. Unfortunate there, Mian. Hopefully we can get you, steer you in the right direction with a couple of winners this week. Alrighty, let's jump into our round 7 preview. Look, we've got 3 fixtures, which is awesome to see. It means there's got to be plenty of options and plenty of pods available. Look, the first game up tonight in about an hour's time is the Hurricanes up against the Renegades, and that is at Ninja Stadium. Look, it looks to be clear skies, kicking off at 6:15 Australian Eastern Standard Time. A couple of key stats at that venue. All player averages at the moment are 35.6. But for me, it's all about the difference in what the Renegades have allowed versus what the Hurricanes have allowed in these matches. And we look at that in terms of across matches from the past 2 seasons. So they've already played once this season, plus all the games last season. The Renegades allowed an average of 34.5 to the Hurricanes side across, 34.05 to the Hurricanes across those 2 seasons, whereas the Canes have limited the Gates to only 30.55. So really an opportunity for us to probably get on to a few more Canes tonight because there's some more opportunity. As we jump across tomorrow's game, again, over at NG Stadium, nice clear skies, so it's great to see. We've got no weather impacted round this week. As I said, NG Stadium, 6:15 kickoff as usual, Australian Eastern Standard Time. And the key here is that all players at this venue are averaging 41.3, which is the most in the competition at the moment. The big difference is first innings batsmen, they're getting 51.5 on average, whereas chasing, they're only getting 24.2. So a big difference there. And then finally, we finish it off with a massive New Year's smash. The Strikers up against the Heat. That is Wednesday night, 6:15 again, Australian Eastern Standard Time. Clear skies again for that one, so that should be perfect. Once again, it's the difference in the first innings versus the second innings. First innings batting average, only 11.9 GDS points so far this season, whereas the chasing, 34.9. So a massive difference there. And again, across matches from the past two seasons between these two sides, the Heat have allowed an average of 43.75 to the Strikers. So a bit of a difference there, probably loading up on a few more strikers as well. But based on all of that, a lot of information to digest. Where do you think you're looking? And is there a particular game you're targeting, or you're trying to diversify quite a lot?
I think at the moment I'm just trying to diversify myself across competitions. There's not really a game or a ground that really stands out as the must target for me this week. Like, I know we just watched the Strikers versus the Heat on Saturday night. We've kind of got a bit of an idea on who went well and who didn't perform. That's probably where I'm looking at, okay, we've seen a match already and we've seen a preview into what that might look like. So I could potentially target some players there once again. But I think I'm probably, if anything, looking towards the Gades tonight the Hurricanes against the Gades tonight. And I think, just targeting some potential all-rounders, and I'm sure we'll talk about them later.
Yeah, definitely good stuff. Look, Jan's jumped in and asked what role do we think Bo Webster is going to play for the Hurricanes. We sort of had a chat about that, and we suggest that he's probably going to slot into that 4-5 sort of spot where Timmy David has been. Obviously, Tim David out with an injury, potentially could be long-term as well. It's just waiting on some scans. So no doubt we'll talk a little bit about Bo Webster and his role when we get down to the all-rounder spot. But before we do, let's jump into the bat wicketkeeper position for round 7 and have a look at who we're targeting. On screen are some of our favourites at the moment. Pip Conley, obviously, sitting there nice and pretty at the top with a 91.33 average, closely followed by Matty Renshaw, who we even saw get the ball and take a wicket the other night. So it's a decent op in the bat spot. Ben McDermott's going to be juicy now that Tim David is gone. And then Joshy Inglis returning from the Ashes side to join the Perth Scorchers, and Finn Allen as well. Stu, out of all of those, you're targeting someone else, though, not necessarily one of those that are on screen. Tell us about who you are focusing on for the bat wicketkeeper position.
Yeah, he's not on screen, but probably just outside our consensus rankings. Well, I've been pretty high on him in the preseason, and I know he's going to have a big knock at some point. I just think Mohammad Rizwan, he could be the forgotten man in the wicketkeeper position, particularly since it feels like forever since the Melbourne Renegades even had a match. And if you click on the wicketkeeper spot, you're going to see Tim Seifert's name right up there. And there's a lot of buzz around Joshy Inglis returning to the Big Bash for probably maybe a one-off game. Let's see. And everyone's probably expecting him to play with a lot of confidence and go big as well. So, yeah, for the wicketkeeper spot, I'm looking at Mohammad Rizwan. He had a disappointing 4 runs in his first fixture. We sort of fell into the trap there, a few of us, with him and Babar Azam. Both looked a lot better in their second match. Rizwan did score a solid 32 from 26, which included 5 fours, and that was against the Hurricanes. So what I like most about this is that he's had a look at that bowling attack, and he's probably worked on a couple of things in the long layoff between matches so that he can be better prepared for tonight's fixture. So, yeah, I think he's going to be pretty confident and that he can find some weaknesses in that Hurricanes bowling attack, and he'll want to definitely put a big score together at that top of that innings, particularly because, Joshy Brown and a few others around him, other than Tim Seifert, aren't really getting going yet for the Melbourne Renegades. So, there's been one match at Ninja Stadium so far this season. The Thunder posted 180 runs and the Hurricanes chased that down in the 20th over. So a lot of runs available, it seems like, in both innings if that one match is anything to go by, which means, there's probably going to be a bit in it for Rizwan, Tim Seifert, a few others at the top of the innings, whether it's batting first or second. I'm not too worried about that at this stage. I'd obviously much prefer to see Rizwan open the innings. He's had a lot of success there, obviously, throughout his career. I'm just hoping he might, particularly with the pretty poor form of Joshy Brown. I think he sat through made an over from Chrissy Jordan, and then poked at one from Riley Meredith and got about a duck off 8 or 9 balls. So they'll certainly want to change some things in that top order pretty soon so that they can get off to a cracking start. And it might be up to those 2 internationals and the 2 international keepers in Seifert and Rizwan. I'd love to see that happening. He's not going to feature across all 3 of my squads. I do like Joshy Inglis. But I don't think I can be confident to play Inglis across all of my squads. I know Seifert will be popular simply because he's at the top of that list and he's still averaging about 90 odd through those first 2 matches. I just think Inglis might have a little bit of rust coming back from the test setup. He might be on a little bit more of a difficult surface there at NG that has a bit more in it for the bowlers. So I think one of the men in red are the way to go. I might be a little bit different here and go Rizwan, where I think others will lean Seifert.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are obviously leaning Seifert, and for good reason, obviously, and a cracker performance to start with. And as you say, when you're searching for names to put in your squad, he's obviously at the top of the list for his average. The thing for me as well is he does probably get the gloves. So I know we still don't know for certain. Again, that could change, but he probably gets the gloves. So there's probably a little bit of opportunity that he might increase his score, but you never know how that goes. So look, if Rizwan is able to get the gloves and keep a little bit, then it'd be great to see as well. And I might potentially chuck him into my challenger side, which is my pod side. But even still, has asked about no Seifert in our top 5. And look, I don't think he's going to perform well tonight. And I think it's going to be one of those where he's had a massive game and then he comes back and he scores very little and he fails early and it disappoints a lot of people. But look, I've said that a couple of times and I've been wrong. So good luck to everyone that's going Seifert. Who are you looking at in the bat wicketkeeper role?
I'm going to go Ben McDermott this week, I think. He's a man in form. Across his 4 innings so far this season, he's piled on 165 runs and only failed to reach 30 just the once, showing some consistency for batsmen in a GDS perspective that we haven't really seen much this year. He's dropped below 24 points only once with a high score of 86 points, thanks to 69 runs, which included 5 fours and 2 sixes against the Stars at the MCG. And we know how well the Stars bowling lineup's going at the moment. So that's a pretty big feat in itself to score that well on a deck that didn't offer much. He's batted at number 4 in the last 3 matches, but there's a genuine chance that could potentially change this round. Now, this is just my thoughts, and we'll obviously see with team lists that come out in about 25 minutes' time. With Tim David injured and both Matty Wade and Bo Webster set to return to the lineup, McDermott could be pushed up to number 3 as the Hurricanes reshuffle that top order. Tim Ward's opened the last 2 matches alongside Mitch Owen, and he's only scored 8 and 4. And he could potentially make way to potentially recombine that early season opening combination of Owen and Chowdhury at the top of the order. The Hurricanes like to attack the power play, and particularly at Ninja Stadium with that short square boundaries. Mitch Owen has failed to get past the first over in the last 3 innings. McDermott could well and truly be placed to come in early and consolidate the innings if a wicket falls within that power play. Even if he does stay at number 4, his role and form remains strong, and I expect him to be amongst the rungs because the gauge shape up as a good matchup for batsmen. The Renegades have allowed 41.1 points per batsman this season, while Ninja Stadium has conceded pretty much the exact same 41.2 points per game to batsmen this season. So McDermott is likely to hand, even though McDermott is likely to hand over the gloves to Wade, to me, that's not really much of a concern. His best scores this season have come without him, without either a wicket-keeping or fielding points. Batting first, and McDermott named it 3. That appeal only increases for McDermott this round.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, we're going to find out the bat flip soon enough. So if you are in the chat and we do see the bat flip in the teams, please send them. Just had a look on Discord as well. And Izzy is live with us in the stream. He has put up that Tim David's been ruled out for the rest of Big Bash 15. So he's gone. So that means that McDermott, he might move up to hold down that spot at first drop. And I think that's very appealing if we can get that, and we can get McDermott in most of our squads. So I'll definitely have him in. The last one I'm going to have in, look, you touched on him before, Stu, and that's Joshy Inglis. He returns to the Perth Scorchers and look, could slot straight into that top 4. Are likely pushing out Aaron Disappointing Hardy. I think we're gonna call him from now on down the order. I just don't think he's firing, so I feel like potentially Inglis sort of slots into that 4, which is quite a juicy role to have. He'll also probably take the gloves off Finn Allen, making probably Allen a little less appealing than what he was previously, and as he's really only got that one dimension in him now, and only one way to score. And we know what Allen's like; he can go big, or he can fail pretty quickly as well after hitting 1-6. So look, what it means is Hardy's and Allen's misfortune is probably a blessing for Inglis, and hopefully he's able to run with that, whether it's the one game or multiple games. I really hope that he has a big game tonight, a big game tomorrow, and we can cheer him on, because it's great to see some of those top international players coming back and playing in the Big Bash as well. In terms of Inglis, last season he had 2 games. His first hit out was against the Hobart Hurricanes down at Ninja Stadium. He hit 49 off 35. He had 3 4s and 2 6s in the mix there as well. So he has some form there, and it's just one example of him being fruitful at the venue. He averages 30 runs there at a strike rate of 139.16. So it's really good that he goes out there and he knows how to play the stadium down at Ninja, and hopefully he can do that again tonight. Because he's only played 2 matches in the last season, I jumped back a little further and went back to BBL 13 stats on the GDS stats page and had a look there. Joshy played 10 matches and he scored 238 runs. He had 13 catches and 3 stumpings as well, showing that true GDS worth as an elite wicketkeeper. So currently, I would suggest that a lot of coaches are probably tossing up between the Inglis and Seifert as their number 1 wicketkeeper. And look, you won't hear me say it too often, but I'm happy to back the Aussie up against the Kiwi in this little battle over the next round. So all aboard on the Inglis train, and let's hope he has a big one.
If you have a read of Ash's on X, or formerly Twitter, you'd think Josh Inglis was an Englishman. I mean, he was born there. He was born in Yorkshire. He moved across to Australia when he was a teenager. But because everyone loves ripping on the English, their bowling attack is South African. Some of them from Barbados. Their captain's from New Zealand. They wanted to get one back on us and claim Josh Inglis as one of their own. So, it is a bit surprising that you are going against the Kiwi and Seifert. Maybe that's a bit of an emotional hedge, is it? That if he fails, then you can say a big "I told you so," or you can have a quiet fist pump and see that the English boys are going well. So, I like how you play, Dill. I love this one. Joshy will be in one of my sides at least. I think I might just go 3 different keepers across 3 squads, really, and just pray 2 of them hit, and if all 3 go off, then you beauty.
Yeah, I love that. Love that indeed. All right, let's jump across to the spot, and oh my, do we have a range of players here that we could look at. And once again, we've tried to fit as many players on the screen as possible. Here's our top 6, but we probably could put together a top 7 or 8 as well. Obviously, Matty Short at the top of the list there, 8.33 average. He is absolutely killing it, as we expect. Overton had a down game, but no doubt he'll bounce back. Shadab Khan, he's probably got one more game in him, I'd say, before he heads over to Pakistan for that random T20 series that they just announced that team. So Shadab Khan will be heading off soon. Bowie Webster back as well for the Hurricanes. Jack Wildermuth and then Will Sutherland, potential options. Stu, do you want to kick us off? Who do you think is going to have a big game this round for the all-rounders?
Yeah, you're right. We do have a plethora of options, and I think a lot of teams are going to have to get quite different here, but getting the right 4 is going to be super tough. So I think, I think a lot of teams or a lot of coaches will diversify. And one player that I'm looking to target, who I think might be a bit of a pod, will be Will Sutherland. The Renegades haven't played in 8 days, so they're a bit of the forgotten team at the moment, I think. He had a really good start to the season. He scored 77 GDS points against the Heat, thanks to 3 for 33. Before he went wicketless in game 2 against the Canes, but still managed to scrape out 24 points, which, all things considered, no wickets is okay. In that match, Hobart managed to chase down the 150 runs set for them inside 14 overs. So none of the Renegades bowlers really had much of an opportunity to do anything with the ball. So we think they're going to be a little bit smarter in that department now, having seen, what they've dished up to the Hurricanes and how the Hurricanes played them. So I think they're going to be in it for a little bit longer than the 14 or 15 overs, and we could get a bit of a thriller this evening. Let's hope anyway. Now, the two teams, they meet at Ninja Stadium this evening, and like I mentioned earlier, the only game played there so far this season saw both teams score 180, but both teams also lost 8 wickets. So if we get something similar this evening, that tells us there's going to be a bit in it, not just for the batsmen, but for the bowlers as well, and in both innings. And that's definitely where Sutherland is going to be able to cash in. Last year, Chief averaged 56 throughout the tournament. He scored 199 runs with the bat. He took 9 wickets. And interestingly, he bowled the most dot balls throughout the entire competition and was just one of 3 bowlers alongside Ashton Agar and Jack Edwards to bowl a maiden over. So it shows he's got a really good fantasy floor, particularly due to what he can do with the ball and keep things tight. He is a wicket taker. He'll put himself on, in those crucial overs. A couple of junk wickets at the end of the innings is always pretty handy. And if the top order do struggle, he's always got that sort of finishing capability as a middle order bat, and he's definitely handy, and he can clear the ropes if he has to go big. So, yeah, I think this match might be set up for a nice little Will Southern cameo, but with so many other options, I don't think I can force him into too many teams. I do see him as a bit of a pod this evening, though.
Yeah, that's the tough thing, isn't it? I love Sutho as well and what he can do. And look, we talked about him pre-season, and he obviously relies a lot more on the ball than the bat, just because of his role that he plays. But you're right, you probably need to nail that, a combination of all 4 in your squad. And I feel like that's just not going to happen. I feel like I'm going to diversify too much. I'm going to play Sutho in one comp. I'm going to play Shadab Khan in another. Maybe Jack Wildermuth in a third, and I just will not get it right, I know for sure. But look, Haz, you're pretty keen on one particular all-rounder, and I think you've been keen on him for about the last month. Tell us about why you love Shadab Khan again this round.
So I have spoken about Shadab Khan as my all-rounder to target the last 2 rounds, but I'm not going to go there again, Dill. I'm going to go somewhere different this week. I am turning my attention to the big international Pom, Jamie Overton, in the matchup against the Heat. Overton had a disappointing round 6 outing against Brisbane at the Gabba, scoring just the 21 points. He did go wicketless, and he only bowled 3 overs, and he really struggled to make an impact with the bat. He top edged one pretty much straight up in the air when got a full toss around his ankles. So it's not really the Overton we know. He likes to hit a long bomb. So I am backing a strong bounce back in the turnaround matchup this round. Last season, Overton averaged 54.6 points from his 5 games at Adelaide Oval with a high score of 92 points. While he did struggle in the specific matchup against the Heat at Adelaide Oval last season, he only scored 31. His appeal this week lies in the role security that he offers. Overton is almost guaranteed to bowl at least 3 to 4 overs and is more likely to get an opportunity with the bat late in the innings. And as I said, he likes to really hit those long bombs, especially at Adelaide, towards those short square boundaries. He's a competitive player who doesn't enjoy being doesn't enjoy being dominated, I should say. And after back-to-back quieter games this season, I expect him to come back hungry for wickets and also runs. The Heat have allowed all-rounders to score 42.4 points per game so far this season, following on from 47.6 points per game last season. So he could be considered a bit of a pod this round. As we've talked about, we've got a plethora of options on the screen. But he does it makes him even more appealing knowing a big game is potentially just around the corner for the big, powerful all-rounder from England.
Yeah, again, I'm so torn across all of these players. It's going to be so tough, and I love what you say about what Overton can do. And we saw some massive performances previous in the Big Bash, and so hopefully he's able to fire again. But obviously it's up against the Heat, so we don't want him to fire so that the Heat can get another win. Thinking about that game, it feels like we've fallen into a below-par episode of Stranger Things, and we've kind of ended up in the upside down. We just witnessed another unreal win for the Heat up against the Strikers at the Gabba, didn't we? And now the same two teams play, but on the other side of the country, so just a bit weird. But look, last show we spoke about Wildermuth and him to contribute in the bat the way that he has. The couple of games where he scored a ton. And obviously we saw that early where he fell for one, but he didn't disappoint coaches. He came out and he was still able to muster 53 points from his 2 wickets and the 4 dot balls and his 4 over bell. And I think that's where we want to see the work done, that we can have both. He can definitely score points with the bat. He can definitely score points with the ball. But if he doesn't in one or the other, we're hopefully able to get a result on the side. And it's really about the Heat's reliance on the wildebeest, both as his high-octane batsman and then also that change of pace bowling. It's the perfect recipe, I think, for a GDS scoring output. And for that reason, I think I'm just going to plug and play wildebeest again. We've seen him feature in both aspects across those 4 games. He's had, in terms of runs, he's had obviously a duck, 110, 14 and 1. At the same time, he took 3 wickets, 1 wicket, 2 and 2. So you can see a really clear contrast. When his bowling is really good, his batting's not so good, and vice versa. And we get that. Its bowling's obviously a lot more consistent. So I'm happy to lock in that floor of around 30-ish points, potentially that wicket and then a dot ball, up to 10 dot balls across his 4 overs. I'm pretty happy with that 30, knowing that I've got plenty of upside from the runs and potentially then the multiple wickets being stacked on top of that. He's already scored the 53 against the Strikers last game, which we talked about, which added to their average as well. They're averaging all rounders 42.7 GDS points. So that's the likes of Stoinis and Curran and Edwards all scoring above 70 as well. So for me, I'm just going to unleash the wildebeest again. He's going to be a lock in most of my teams, not all of them, but most of them. And then obviously diversify a little bit as well.
Yeah, as a Brisbane Heat supporter, I do wish I could see a little bit more with the bat from the wildebeest. Obviously, he's got that one massive pop score of 110 against the Scorchers, but he's really failed to get going the last couple of innings. And I think, Stu, you pointed it out after the game that he went ballistic. He had a previous high score of 31 from 30-odd matches in Big Bash. He's kind of come back to earth a little bit. Now, he is keeping his points total afloat with those wickets, but I think from a GDS perspective, we just have to look at the role. He's an opening batsman who's guaranteed 4 overs. We talk about upside. He only needs to get to 30, get the 30-point bonus, grab a wicket or 2, and you're looking at a 70-point performance without really raising an eyelid. So I think I'm completely with you, Dill. I'd be locking in any wildebeest cards that I would have in my squads this week, just purely for the role and the upside that he possesses.
Yeah, 100% agree. Look, the Melbourne Renegades team has come through. I'll quickly run through it, and we'll try and get on the stream, and we can have a chat about it quickly. Will Sutherland, obviously captain. Behrendorff, Joshy Brown, Fraser McGurk, Khan, Peake, Rizwan, Gurinder Sandhu, Timmy Seifert, Ty, and Zampa. And it looks like Rizwan has the gloves. So the big one, obviously, the big inclusion is AJ Ty, and then Rizwan with the gloves. From that, just before we get to the Hurricanes and the bowlers, is there anything that jumps out at you straight away, Stu, that you might want to change or just solidify some options for you?
Yeah, did you say that Will Sutherland and Jason Behrendorff were opening the batting?
Yeah, that's how they've posted their team, the Melbourne Renegades, on X page. So I guess jump on Jason Behrendorff, I think, is the
absolutely. Just say Jack Wildermuth had the best role in the competition. Move aside. Jason Behrendorff is putting his name up for that. Some clubs should do that, I reckon. Just obviously not Jason Behrendorff. He can't really swing a bat to save himself. Lucky he can bowl, but send out a lower order batsman that can just go nuts. I think that's actually what Wildermuth said in the commentary the other night, that he's been given that role, that he is allowed to go out there and swing and hit the bad balls, and there's no expectation that he puts an innings together. He's been given that role just to go nuts and get him off the front foot early. I think they tried once or twice with Michael Neser last year. So with Neser not in the side due to test commitments, that's why Wildermuth has that role. I think that role is awesome, and that would make some of the bowlers become so much more useful. Imagine a Pete Siddle out there in the first over and just going nuts. But no, not too much. Interesting that AJ Ty is back in the fray. I don't think I'll be confident to play him, but we know what type of bowler he has been in the past. And yeah, he's every chance of getting 2 or 3 wickets. I just don't know, how much cricket he's played recently. I think that Jason Behrendorff is going to be that key bowler for them once again, and we'll get into the bowler section shortly. But I dare say he's going to be pretty popular.
Yeah, definitely. Look, and I've just posted the Hurricanes lineup. I believe that